So it's recently come to my attention that I am currently approaching my third year of corporate life, which means that my school days are way behind me and I am officially getting older. I figure since I have a bit more experience than the average college grad, I might as well share some information and enlighten y'all about some of the biggest mistakes that you can make in your early career and what to avoid. So the first early career mistake that you can make is not writing stuff down. And this is a mistake that I personally have made and paid for it dearly. And now I am traumatized by this experience. So story time for you guys. A few years ago at my first office job, it was a Friday right before a long weekend and someone gave me an assignment. And 20-year-old me thought that it would be a good idea to not write it down and just keep this assignment locked in the back of my head. Fast forward to when we get back from the long weekend, obviously I'd forgotten about the assignment and someone asked me about it and I realized, oh crap, I didn't do it. This was pretty early on in that job, and just because of that one little mistake, my relationship with that coworker was essentially ruined. Sometimes there are people that just won't forget the mistakes that you've made and probably associate you with that mistake for the rest of their life. I pray that your future coworkers don't do the same to you, but just in case, all of this can be avoided if you had just written stuff down. So it doesn't matter if you use like a notebook, like I write everything in my notebook now. It could be some kind of project management software or note-taking app, whatever record that you can use that you can refer back to and not just rely on your memory as your planner. I think you'd be good. Not to mention it can be embarrassing and unprofessional if you just say you forgot to do something, even though it's a very perfectly human thing to do. Maybe it was just that one coworker that was really unforgiving, but ever since then, I've put it upon myself to just write as much as I can down and not try to forget anything because I would not want to relive that experience, and you guys should learn from me and learn from my mistakes. My second piece of advice here would be to not take things too personally, especially when it comes to your work. So it's okay to have a lot of pride in the work that you do, but when you have feedback given to you, just prepare to take things with a grain of salt. I know when we're young and starry-eyed, we want to make an impact. We want to think that our work is the best that there is and there's no improvements to be made, but that's usually not the case. More oftentimes than not, the higher-ups will probably have something to say about your work, and the feedback may not necessarily even be bad. There will be times when someone asks you to redo a project from the beginning, or maybe scrap an assignment that you put a lot of work into, and usually it's not personal. Obviously this varies case by case, but there are a lot of external factors that may contribute as to why your assignment isn't as good as it is. Or if I'm being brutally honest, maybe you just aren't good at your job, and that's okay, especially when you're earlier in your career. You probably don't even know what you like, what you want to do. These first few years that you're in the workforce, you should be taking time to explore what it is you like, what you don't like, what you're good at, what you could be better at, maybe what you're willing to defer to others for. Me, for example, I'm not the best data person or Excel person there is. I don't like looking at numbers on a spreadsheet all day, but I really like being creative and I like working with words, which is why I'm a content creator and I'm in product marketing. Both of these fields allow me to be my best creative self and do work that I actually enjoy doing. Another common mistake in your early career is trying to put your career over your life. When you graduate school, you're young, you want to make an impact, you want to make a lot of money and spend that money to do fun things, and I'm a huge proponent of that. I would argue that having a fulfilling career is an important pillar to living a happier life, but that being said, it's not everything. This wasn't necessarily my dream, but because I went to business school, I know a lot of people that wanted to work at a big four firm, or maybe they wanted to be a consultant and go on these lavish business trips with all expenses paid by your company, work with these high-profile clients, etc., in hopes that all those things coupled by a nice starting salary would make them happy. And I've seen enough videos on YouTube to know that just because you work at a prestigious company, it doesn't mean that you reach this pinnacle of happiness and all of your problems are gone. Like, yes, having a career is important, but it shouldn't come at the expense of other things in your life, like your relationships, your physical health, your mental and emotional health. As someone who believes in the FIRE movement, which means that I already want to retire early and hopefully not work at a job that I dislike, I recognize that there are a lot of other things in life that I want to experience that isn't just focused on building a good career. Although I do want a good career, don't get me wrong. It takes a good career plus other things in my life that'll personally make me happy. This next mistake feels a bit more standard and people have probably said it before, but the biggest mistake that you can make is not networking and building connections. So when I say networking, I don't mean like going to a networking event with you wearing a name tag and going through all of these awkward conversations where you say, hi, I'm saying blah, 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 blah. No, that's not what I'm talking about. When I say networking, I literally just mean building connections with other people. Sometimes it can be nice to go to these professional networking events and maybe meet people. I don't know. It's not for me though. But when I say networking, it could mean anyone from anywhere. It could be a parent's friend. It could be your chef. Or it could be, I don't know why I said chef. No, I don't have a personal chef. But more oftentimes than not, getting ahead in the game isn't exactly about your talent or what you know. It's really about who you know. You can never fully expect when a friend of a friend may actually know someone who works at your dream company. So you might eventually ask them for a referral. And you may not have gotten that job at that dream company had you not known that person. I'm not here to crush dreams, I'm just here to say that's how the real world works. Having a good reputation is important in the Western work world, or I guess at least in the Eastern as well. But you never know when that piece of goodwill that you have with others is going to help you down the line. Now on the converse, a big mistake that you can make is burning bridges with an old coworker or a previous employer. Ideally, that is something you may want to avoid, but I know that there will be some circumstances where you might just think to yourself, wow, I don't want to associate with these people or this corporation or this company ever again. And that's okay, I think. I just caution that you be fully prepared to face whatever consequences may come after you burn that bridge. You never know when there's going to be some hidden connection between your previous employer and someone else that you may want to work with that just might spread and be interpreted in the wrong way. Because I recognize that there are some really toxic workplaces out there, and if you want to burn that bridge, then that's totally okay. Or if you just see a much better opportunity elsewhere, and that means that would sour the relationship between your current boss or your current workplace, which honestly it shouldn't, because your life should not center around them, then I would say that burning bridges might be the right move. Not to say that you should use it liberally or frequently, but it's a last resort. Mistake number 6 would be doing work that isn't in your job responsibility. I'm not talking about if you want to take on extra projects or if you want to learn a little more about some sort of job or area of interest. I'm talking about when you are a copywriter, for example, and you find yourself working with code or Excel. Like that doesn't make sense. You were hired for a certain set of responsibilities, and if you feel like there's a project or assignment that doesn't feel right to you, and it's not something that you do want to do, then you should follow your gut and you should try to push back. The last mistake that I want to mention is taking a job that won't challenge you. And I think this is something that women are more prone to falling for. Not because I'm trying to be sexist, but in general, women tend to be more strict with the criteria when it comes to qualifications for a job. I think the saying goes something along the lines of men are willing to apply for a job if they meet 60% of the qualifications, while women would apply for a job only if they hit 100. But regardless of your gender, I think you need to have more confidence and apply for jobs that you may not think that you are qualified for. I'd say a general rule of thumb is to hit at least half of the qualifications and send in an application anyway, just to see if you even have a shot. I would rather shoot high and end up at a job where I don't really feel like I know what I'm doing, but have all of this opportunity and potential for learning, rather than be at a job where I know I can perform at a very good level and just be bored. Unless you see that there are guaranteed promotions to come through by staying at that job for a year, and maybe you can play the long game, that's possible. But you have to decide whether or not that year or those 2 years is worth it. I think spending that much time in a role where you know you won't grow and you'll just be bored going to work every day is not conducive to a happier life. You want to find a role that'll challenge you intellectually, because having those areas of discomfort are actually areas for growth. Again, everyone's goals are different, but if you're looking to climb the corporate ladder a bit, get more responsibility, get a higher paying job, then this is the route for you. So next time you see a job that you're 100% qualified for, maybe this job isn't for you and you should start looking elsewhere. I am curious to hear your guys' thoughts though, and let me know what kind of mistakes that you should avoid in your early career. Let me know in the comments, and as always, take it easy.